Is there any world that exists where Kirby Smart is actually satisfied with how the first scrimmage goes?
No, he's never happy this time of year. This is the antithesis of his Christmas. It is the least happy time of year for Kirby Smart because mostly Georgia's focusing on themselves, and and we're gonna get into this a little bit later. But like he sees this team every day, and he has past comparisons now to championship level teams,
Mm.
2021 and 2022. And unfortunately, the comparison is the thief of joy. And I think he sees that in comparison to those past championship teams, maybe this Georgia team isn't quite on the same level as those teams were.
I feel like in practice one, you just want to make sure that you have the fundamentals and the basics laid out and that you can tackle the heat. But when you go into the second scrimmage, what are those details that you're looking for, not just the things you want to get out of the way in scrimmage one?
You want to see certain playmakers, I think, on both sides of the football really take advantage of the opportunity. These games are played, these scrimmages rather, are played in Sanford Stadium, and it's as close to a game atmosphere as Georgia's going to get prior to that opener against Clemson. And even I think the intensity there is going to be greater than it will be in some of Georgia's games this season. And so, for a program that likes to say that practice is harder than the games, these should be the hardest games, so to speak, of the season. You
Mm-hmm.
want to see which players are able to fight through the pain, the bumps and the bruises, able to fight through the heat because it is going to be hotter today, certainly than it will be when Georgia opens in a dome stadium against Clemson on August 31st. And who can sort of go out there and make the plays that inspires Kirby Smart to trust them when Georgia opens the season in a few weeks.
When you say playmakers, who do you expect to see more progress out of from scrimmage one to scrimmage two? Is it the veterans who have been there and know what to expect out of this, or is it the younger players who probably have more room for improvement from scrimmage one to scrimmage two?
I actually think on the offensive side of the ball, it is the veterans.
Mm.
It's guys like Dominic Lovett, Dylan Bell. We'll count Trevor Etienne as a veteran, so to speak, because it is his third year of college football there. Those types of guys, I think if you see them continue to go out and play well and make plays, you could say the same on the defensive side of the ball with a guy like, say, a Dalen Everett, or, at this point, a Raylan Wilson is considered a veteran on this defense because of how much newness they have on that side of the ball. I do think that Kirby's going to feel a lot better about this team. Obviously, again, depth is such a big concern for him right now. And so I understand you want to see certain freshmen, like, say, a Nate Frazier or a KJ Bolden, go out there and have really strong Saturday afternoons. But for this team, for Clemson game one, I actually think it's the veterans that need to go out there and show and inspire some confidence in Kirby Smart.
Okay, let me ask you this. How realistic are the scrimmages? Like, I know you want to prevent injury, but you also want to prepare them for the game one opener. Is it very game like, or is there some restriction on it?
I think it's as close to a game as you're going to get from Georgia. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you can't hit the quarterbacks there, but they want these things to be physical. They want you to go 100% and give all that you can. And that's tough because the time of year, because you're going through camp, up until yesterday when school started for Georgia, they've been practicing almost every single day. And so they get to the end of this camp period, Saturdays in Kirby's mind, the last period of fall camp. These guys are tired. They're pushing their bodies harder than they're going to during the season. And I think if they're able to push and strain through that, a word that you're going to hear Kirby Smart use a lot this season, I think he's going to be further encouraged by what he sees. And ultimately, I think feel better than he did on Tuesday about where this team is going into the 2024 season.
So, when all is said and done, what players and storylines are you hoping to write about on Sunday or Monday by the time scrimmage two is over?
I think Trevor Etienne is a big name we'd like to hear more from. Obviously, you hear the good news about Nate Frazier coming out of scrimmage run. Branson Robinson has been a consistent positive story here for Georgia, but maybe a little bit under the radar right now. Not weather. He's not sick. Roger Robertson's dealing with a little bit of a toe injury, and there's some question about how healthy he's going to be. And so the presence of Trevor Etienne being a leader in that running back room, I think is something that I'd like to hear and see from this Georgia scrimmage. On the defensive side of the ball, it's that cornerback battle opposite Dalen Everett. I think Dalen Everett is going to be one of Georgia's starters at the cornerback position there. Who steps up between Daniel Harris and Julio Humphrey? It sounds like Humphrey got more reps in the first scrimmage with the first team. Does Georgia maybe go out there and play Daniel Harris? I expect them to play both, but it'd be really encouraging for Georgia if you hear one of those two guys has a strong day, because I think that makes you feel all a bit better about what Georgia potentially has in its secondary.